Hi.
Um, so we left off last week about talking about maybe making a grocery list. That way you do not spend as much. Um, have you tried that this past week?
We started the list. It's on the refrigerator, and I've added stuff, and he's added stuff. So we have started that.
Do you think that's going to help?
Um, so far it has. Um, so far it has. We still have gotten in a couple of arguments.
Um, Last week we talked about your confidence level, and you were at about a 5 out of a scale from 1 to 10 that you were thinking you could change. Has that number gone up at all?
It's about a 6 right now.
Okay. So that's better than a 5. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is it that you change?
It's 10.
A 10?
We're fighting still, and like I said last time, my marriage is really important. I want us to stay together, so it's really important.
Okay, and what would you think his number would be? Do you think his number would be high?
I don't know. I still don't think that he necessarily sees it as a problem.
Okay. Um, do you think there's any way he would agree maybe to come to next session with you?
I'm kind of working on it a little bit, you know, just trying the list and trying not to go to the store as much. So I think he's starting to see a little bit of change. So I'm working towards sitting down with him and talking to him about coming. Um, because the last time I asked him, he was just, it's not my problem. And I think that he's starting to see a little bit of change. Maybe next time I talk to him about it, it might be different. But I don't think that he sees it as his problem still.
So hopefully we can get him in and he can hopefully hear your side and then see that it's both of your all's problem. You need to work together to solve the problem. You think he'd be open to that?
Like I said, I don't know if he sees it as his problem, but he's seeing some changes. So hopefully he'll see that it's not just me as he sees more and more changes in me.
Do you think he's less stressed about the money situation when he can see changes that are occurring?
For him, I don't think it's working fast enough because, like, I still need to do something. So there's been a couple of days where I've gone to the store this week and he got angry and we fought a couple of times this week. But there's been a couple of days where we haven't. So it's kind of been a 50-50 change so far. You know, a couple of days I did go and a couple of days I didn't. But we started making a list of things. So I just needed to go to get out of the house.
Well, I think it's good that you both are able to see that the situation is improving. Do you think your kids have noticed that there are less fights than usual?
I don't know if they've noticed there's less fights. I know that they've noticed that I didn't go to the store because, you know, the little girl's like, when are we going somewhere? You know, she's used to going somewhere every day. So I think that made it a little bit harder on me, and that might have been part of why I went the couple of days I did go. So I need to just be a little bit stronger in that, but it's really hard because she wants to go too because I've kind of made that a part of her daily life.
So maybe we need to think of some activities that you can do with the kids to get both of you all out of the house, but not necessarily going to the grocery store and spending a lot of money.
Yeah, I was thinking about going since it's getting prettier out now and it's getting a little bit warmer and it's the type of weather where we can go to the park and things. There's a park that's just a little bit away from our house, and since it's nicer, we can maybe try to walk to the park instead of driving and see how that goes. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about doing, maybe a couple of days a week.
That sounds like that would be a good thing for you and the kids to both be able to get out of the house. They could get exercise and playtime, and your husband should hopefully see that as a good thing because if you're walking, saving money on gas, you're not spending money at the grocery, that sounds like it would just be a good plan for everybody.
Yeah, and I don't think he could say that I was doing anything wrong. And hopefully, ideally, I would like to see him see that as a good thing and maybe want to go with us, and we can maybe make it a couple of nights a week when he gets home where we can go together as a family instead of me doing it during the day with the kids, being something we look forward to doing as a family together.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Bring everyone closer and less fighting. Um, is there any? Have you thought about maybe like a movie night or a game night, like at home, not going to the movies because that costs money?
Um, we don't really have many games because our kids are kind of little, and um, but I think maybe instead of if I could not go to the store all the time, saving a little bit of the money I would be spending and like discussing something we could buy together that we both would like. That might be something that we could do and get like a kids game because our son is young enough still, but not quite old enough for like the bigger kid games, but still young enough where we could get like Chutes and Ladders or something like that where it would be something for him to play and something that we could play with him. So, and it's not an expensive game either. So,
You think your husband would be okay if you tried to discuss that with him to let him know if maybe if you cut back spending a little bit each week, that maybe you both could save money to buy a toy or a game that the whole family could enjoy together?
I think so. Like I said, I think that him seeing just a little bit of change, and I'm gonna work really hard at trying to get my daughter where she doesn't want to go. Maybe, like I said, going to the park a couple of times will kind of ease that a little. Where we're still getting out of the house, but not going to the grocery store. Um, so that we wouldn't be spending that money, and maybe him seeing that we're actually saving a little bit by not going, we could buy something for us to do together as a family, whether it be a game or they've got these balls that uh, my son's uncle has that they play with, and it's got like catcher mitt thing where they stick together. He really likes those, so I think maybe getting one of those that we can play with out in the yard and stuff would be good. It just costs money, and trying to figure out whether or not my husband would be okay with spending it, you know. But I'm really gonna work on him being okay with just a little bit.
Yeah, I think, um, if you presented it in a way that didn't seem like you were being confrontational, that maybe he would, see it as a good idea so that you could have family time together, get you and the kids out of the house as a family and something free. So I think he should be okay with that. Have you all discussed the budgeting at all? Like, working together on the checkbook, balancing the checkbook together?
No, we just started the grocery list and just doing one thing right now. And then later on, as we get him used to me not going so many places and spending so much money, we'll ease into that. Um, so I'm hoping we'll ease into it.
Okay. Do you think he would see it as a problem if you wanted to be involved in the budgeting and stuff?
I think later on he won't. Like, if he gets used to the idea that I'm not going to spend a lot of money and he can trust me to not spend a lot of money, he can trust that we can do the budget together and work on the checkbook and things together. But I think right now he doesn't trust that I won't spend a lot of money, so he's kind of kept me from all of that. So when he can trust me again, I think that he might not keep it from me.
So it sounds like trust is playing a big part in the situation.
Yeah, because he just thinks that I'll go and spend all of the money, even if we have just a little bit and he doesn't need to get money from like his mom for rent or whatever. We get to a point where we have enough money to pay the bills. I think that he would think that I would just spend it if there was a little extra. So I think if I can just gain his trust and knowing that I'll leave it in the bank, I won't spend it. We'll stick to the grocery plan and the grocery list and things like that. If I could just get him to trust me in that, then we can move forward later on in the checkbook and paying the bills together and him knowing that I'm just not going to spend it.
Do you think there's anything else you could do besides the grocery list that would let him trust you a little bit more? I know you're doing one step at a time, which is really good, but do you think there's anything else we could implement?
I don't know. I'm kind of taking it one step at a time right now, unless you have any suggestions that I could.
I think you're doing a really good job taking stuff one step at a time and letting both of you all get used to the changes. But we can discuss more strategies next week if that sounds good to you.
That sounds good.
Okay.